Today, we're going to be talking about a technology that's going to help you build out solutions, low code, no code solutions with your OnBase product. And basically, low code is an approach to application development that leverages platform-based visual design elements such as drop-down menus, checkboxes, radio buttons to allow you to quickly and easily develop, change, and deliver applications without custom coding. Be able to implement this type of solution within hours instead of days, weeks, and months without custom coding or any specialized skills with software that you probably already own. Just a quick note, in 2020, less than 25% of new apps were developed through low code, no code at colleges and universities. And in 2025, the expectation is that 70% of new apps will be developed using this method. Today, what we're going to do is we're going to have one of our customers that's taken advantage of this technology, the OnBase low-code technology, to build out between 12 and 14 solutions on his campus. So Chris Tucker from SUNY Cortland is going to join us today and show us some of the solutions that he's developed and built out. And just to kind of level set, Chris is the manager of property control at SUNY Cortland. He's not in IT, he's not a programmer, he's not a developer, but again, has developed 12 to 14 solutions for departments across the SUNY Cortland campus using OnBase low-code configuration tools. Not to say that Chris isn't a talented guy, he is. He's and he won't tell you this, but I'm going to. Chris is he's an accomplished runner, golfer, guitar player, and father of twins, and which is a challenge in itself, I'm sure. So, hey, Chris, if you don't mind, could you please tell us maybe a little bit more about yourself and then share with us some of the solutions that you've built?
Okay, thank you, Bob. I appreciate it. Thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm Christopher Tucker, and like Bob said, I'm the manager of property control and duplication services, and I work out of the business office at SUNY Cortland, where I've been an OnBase system administrator since 2006. During that time, I've created applications for our accounts payable, admissions, athletics, facilities, planning, finance, human resources, and payroll, property control, purchasing, and student accounts. These are the applications that they use on a daily basis. What I'd like to do today is really talk to you about some of the outside of the box ideas that I've had. That's how I operate. I see things that maybe some other people don't. So when I'm working with OnBase or talking to somebody and they're talking to me about maybe a workplace frustration, I immediately, almost to a fault, start thinking of solutions, usually with the WorkView app. I'm a big fan of the WorkView app. So the first application came about exactly that way. I'd like to share with you the admissions travel calendar. How this came about, actually, my wife is the assistant director of admission here at SUNY Cortland, and one night she came home after traveling and vented to me about some frustrations that she was having and others in her office were having with their current travel calendar system. The way that this system was built, it was an Excel spreadsheet on a network share. And there was just all kinds of problems with it, as you can kind of imagine, with people being on the road and remoting in and accessing an Excel file. Different versions were created, because people would be opening it and then there'd be like a read-only copy, and then they'd be like, oh, I got to save my changes. And nobody really knew what was the actual live document, what was the most up-to-date information, and who made what changes and how those changes affected the other counselors. And it was a real problem. So she was just venting about this and how difficult it was and how they needed a different solution for this. And immediately I was just like, WorkView has a calendar feature. I think I can solve this for you. So please email me some of the information that you track in there and how you use it. And then also please send me one of these spreadsheets and we'll go from there and see what we can come up with. So the next morning, I hit the ground running. I went into work and I was just ready to go. And I am not exaggerating. That morning, I had a working application that I was able to go show her. And I was able to work with her, maybe make a few tweaks, go back, make those tweaks, came back down. And by lunchtime, we had the application made that they continue to use now, some 7 years later. It just works. It is so efficient. The low code, no code is really for real. And to be able to develop something like that and get it right basically the first time and have it last. The only updates I've really had to make are just changing staff members and license plates for vehicles as we trade those out. So how the process actually works is we receive either a paper invitation or electronic invitation that's brought into OnBase either through scanning or importing. That creates the record in OnBase in the WorkView application and also on the calendar, which I'll show you in a few minutes here. During the life of that event, several changes can be made to it. Whether or not we're going to register for it, maybe we won't register to it, but we'll keep it in mind. What staff is assigned to that event, what vehicle they're going to use to get there, are they going to have to rent? There's other notes that are captured in there that you'll see in a second here. But the key issues that this solved were an accurate system to manage all of this information and something that all of the counselors could access at the same time and make edits and update and use to help them on their trip while they're on the road. So this is what it actually looks like. This is the table view. Here are some filters on the left that you see that are highlighted that they use to kind of sort this information and use it how they need it. Any one of these field headings that you see there at the top, you just click on that and it sorts by that, much like Excel, but I find it a little easier and it doesn't, you don't have to worry about messing up the data. It just goes back to the same default every single time. When you actually pull up a record, this is what it actually looks like. And this is where the edits are made. This is how you actually manage this event. You see here, are we registered? What staff is assigned? What vehicle you see right there, that's the plate. If that was a rental, it would actually say rental in there. You can also see here, this is the actual invitation. You could click on that and that'll bring up the actual invitation. Any documents that are related to that event, you can associate with this record. One of the other key pieces of this puzzle here too is it allowed for us to hyperlink out to a web-based form for an evaluation. All of our counselors after an event are responsible for filling out an evaluation about that event where they track things like, was this a successful event? Should we attend again in the future? Was there a meal provided? Where to park? Was there cost with the parking? Things like that. Also, maybe what majors were really popular. Maybe we want to bring more materials for sport management to this event. That was a popular major. So things like that. That allowed for that, but also, accuracy. You didn't have to worry about making mistakes in here, and also other people accessing this at the same time. It just works. One of the key pieces that you'll hear me talk about again is the history in OnBase. I love this feature. It just works so well. So with those mistakes with Excel, you never knew who did what or why or anything like that or when it happened. OnBase just provides that for you in the background, and you can't edit this data. You can't cheat it or anything like that. It's an audit-proof record. And I really believe it helps. Like in Excel, how many times have you accidentally deleted something in a cell and then all of a sudden you just have an empty cell and you have no idea what was there. So this solves that puzzle there. And that's a key component in terms of figuring things out. So here's what the actual calendar looks like. Looks much like Google Calendars or Outlook. You can see here counselor names. They know exactly where they're going to be and when. They can click on those and that brings up that record that I just showed you. If there's changes, things like that, everybody gets, whoever the counselor is that is assigned to that event, they get a notification like, oh, all of a sudden I have to rent a car. I don't get this other car. Things like that. If the timing of the event changes, things like that, you get notified. And that's another piece too. They couldn't do that with Excel. They use this calendar every spring and fall, and it is just a key piece of the puzzle. I am not kidding when I tell you I spent about 4 hours creating this. It was just, and it still works some 7 years later. It is just incredible how this system just continues to work with no maintenance. I'm just blown away. We don't have outages or anything like that. It just continues to work day after day, and that's just huge. We have over 4,800 events in there at this point, and the admissions office uses that information to plan their spring and fall travel, like which events were popular, which ones we should go to. The real-time updates, things like that are just priceless. You really can't, just especially now with everything going remote. Our admissions counselors were remote before it was cool, and to be able to just do their job effectively while they're on the road. That 6 to 8 weeks in the spring and fall that they're traveling, they literally review applications. They talk to families on the phone. It's as if they're in the office, but they might be in a hotel room or somewhere. But this is some of the feedback that received. Jillian Tucker is my wife, like I said, and these are we built this to suit that office, and they still use it to this day. So the next app I'd actually like to talk to you about is the records retention application. And this one selfishly is for me. I was having an issue. I am also the records management officer for the campus, and I was having an issue with our records retention and OnBase system. So when we built our system, and I was tasked with building all of this for the business office, the decision was made to not handle records retention at that time and to revisit it later. Just get the system built, get those document types created, scan those documents, shred the paper, and let's go. So years later, we needed to address it, and it was just an insurmountable task. I have 6 years working on this project, and we still are not actively purging those records. We're getting close, and you'll see in a second. We had over 900 document types created. I needed a way to kind of manage that and find out, okay, which ones have I addressed? Which ones still need to be addressed? What is the actual retention policy for that document type? And who do I reach out to about it? So things like that. So that's where I came up with this. So this is, again, the table view. I tried to show a couple different offices in here to see. This is all of the campus that uses OnBase. All of their records are in here. And we're going through and we're actually looking them up and matching them with their respective retention policy and putting that data in. And my goal is, and what we're going to use this for, is to be able to sort things, make the updates as needed, but show compliance. When we get audited, be able to say, here's our records, this is what we did to them, and this is why, and here's the certificate of destruction when we're done with it. That's my goal. I would actually like to take this out further and bring in other campus records that aren't necessarily the OnBase document types, but all the person files, things like that we have in the different systems like Banner that we have. So that's my long-term goal, but we need to get through these first 900 documents. So if you actually click on one of these records, just like the travel calendar, here's the actual screen that you were editing. Excuse me, any changes here are recorded. The history will show you that. I'll show you that in a second. One of the key fields that I like to use is a last update field. You can see that in here. And what that helps me with is knowing when was the last time we updated this record, what changes have been made since then. Maybe we need to go back out and make some updates. I also put in here, has the OnBase retention been assigned within OnBase? In this case, with this record, it has not. So we're running sorts on that kind of information and knowing which ones we need to go out. So I actually currently have a person helping me with this, and she's using this information and reaching out to those departments that don't have these policies assigned to them and sending them their lists. And she's going from here, exporting to Excel and putting that in an email and saying, hey, here's your records in OnBase. You need to make a decision here. And that's the key thing. We can't be responsible for looking all this stuff up. We need to put it back on the departments. And this allows us to do that quickly and easily. And also, when we do get an audit, here we go. We have the history. Again, I love the history. We know exactly what we did and when and why. And again, I do plan on putting in the certificate of destructions in the future. As we build this system and start purging the documents, I'm going to continue to create it to kind of match what we need at that time and what kind of questions are being asked. One of the other things, actually going back, I apologize. I did want to point out that I put in hyperlinks here for the general schedule, the SUNY schedule, and the RF records retention. So those are actually hyperlinks to the manual themselves, and that's what we're looking at when we do come up with these policies. So the general schedule handles more of the business office side of records, payroll, HR, things like that, purchasing and accounts payable. The SUNY schedule handles the student files. And also we have the Research Foundation here, and they have their own policy. So while you're updating this record, you can click that link and get right to the policy and find that information and cut and paste it in there. And that was a key component. So we have over 900 document types in the system. What this OnBase system has done for us with WorkView is allow us to quickly and easily sort that by the department and the contacts. You have access to the schedule. We're going to show compliance when we get there. We're working on it. And it definitely shortens audits. I had a call recently. I was able to address that request on the phone while we were talking. I exported the data and sent it to him in an email, and we got to go over that right on the phone, and I never had to hear from that auditor again, which is just perfect. So some other applications that I'd like to share with you, because I really look at OnBase as a blank slate. What is my issue? I'm going to make OnBase fix it for me, and that's really how I operate here. I use it to track our shredding bins for the campus. Again, going back to the records management. We have 45 of these 96-gallon bins on campus. And when somebody needs a new one, I would have empties in storage, and I was like, I knew I had 6 empties, for example. Well, I would put in a work order and have that empty brought over, take the full one back and have it emptied. What was going on was all of a sudden my 6 turned into 4 or 3, and I didn't know where these bins were going. So I was promising bins for people, and I didn't have the empty to give them. So what I ended up doing was I created a database in WorkView again, and then I made asset numbers for each bin and started tracking them. So when they started turning up missing, I was able to go out and track those bins down and then find out how those folks got those bins. And it turns out the custodians in the building where they're housed, someone might ask them in the hall, like, oh, hey, can you give me one of those shredding bins? And they just go take it and never tell me. So once we found out that's what was going on, I was able to go to them, and now they will not move a bin unless there's a work order specifically referencing that asset number. I use it for property control. We've used it for capital equipment planning. We're getting ready to start for the next fiscal year, planning all of our equipment replacement, mowers, science equipment, all that stuff. That's all housed in OnBase WorkView, and we sort by equipment manager, say our grounds department. I send them a list. I'm getting ready to start these sorts now. The Dean of Arts and Sciences, I send them a list for their area and say, hey, is this the equipment that you need to replace this year? Let's give us the updates. My goal is eventually have them go in and be able to work in the system and do it themselves, but we're not quite there yet. I also manage our copier fleet. We have 87 Samsung copiers on campus, and all of them live in this OnBase WorkView. And whoever I'm talking to about that machine, I have all of the information right then and there when I'm looking at that piece of equipment. I can talk to our IT department. I can talk to the company that services the machine. I can talk to the person in the department. I can also, with one of those hyperlinks, actually pull up that machine on the web and see information like the meter reading. If it's low on toner, I can change fax information there. I can, whatever I need to do, I can do it, and it's all right there in OnBase. One of the other things that we also use is foldering. We use that for our payroll. Every employee on campus has a folder. As soon as you're a new employee and your documents start getting scanned, they automatically create a new folder for you for your banking documents, your tax documents, whatever it is. And it just happens. And so our payroll office just goes to your folder and they review the information as needed. Like I said, our purchasing accounts payable database is all in WorkView. We have a minority women-owned vendor database in there with over 8,000 vendors in there. That's in WorkView as well. We've also used it for our athletics department, our recruitment, our athlete recruitment. They use it for that. And again, all of this stuff, or most of the stuff I've built 10 years ago or close to 10 years ago, and it still works, and I have to do nothing to it. Just maybe make a couple updates to some of the names of something or things like that. It just works day in, day out. And while we were home during the shutdown and the pandemic, it became even more popular. And I definitely expect some enhancements coming in the future as people are becoming more and more remote and relying more on the computer technology as opposed to paper documents. So with that, I'd like to thank you for your time. And if anybody does have any questions, you can tell I'm very happy to talk about it. My email address is below, and you can feel free to reach out to me at any time. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. We appreciate you sharing your story today. It's obviously impressive what you've done down there. We look forward to seeing what you build in the future.